Alright folks, so I showed the exhaust manifolds in the last video here. These are the Corvette style exhaust manifolds. And anyway, I made a little video about them, just showing them off there a little bit. And that's kind of what we got. And that is a blind hole right there. I feel a little dumb about that, but anyway, that's a blind hole there, so it's nothing to worry about. I was a little concerned about that because I was kind of worried about exhaust leaks, but nah, it's nothing to worry about. So anyway, this is the driver's side, and these are the 2.5-inch outlets at the bottom there. And the only thing I kind of really don't like after looking at them a little closer here is the boss up here. There's actually a boss inside this exhaust manifold up in here. We can see it. Now you can kind of see it. Let's see. There you go. Now you can kind of see it right there. It's right there. The end of my finger. But if you could see it there, it's kind of rather large. I mean, I don't think it would affect the flow really, but I think it'd be kind of a tiny bit restrictive, honestly. Just the boss for the other side of that bolt hole there. But anyway, I don't know. I think it'll be alright. But they are definitely thicker. Definitely thicker in here. Around these bolt holes is a lot thicker. I did notice that. But anyway, so if we look at this alternator bracket here, / generator bracket, this is the driver's side here. And the passenger side exhaust manifold had one too. So it went from this to this. Alright, so here's the other exhaust manifold here. And this is it. So this used to be the alternator bracket on it. This is for the passenger side. Went ahead and removed that, cut it off. And yes, I know it's a hole wear, but we're not concerned about that yet. I went ahead, it had a little boss right there, and I ground that off flush, ground it all off through here, and I'm going to come back, and we're either going to do one or two things, or we might do them both together. But I'm going to come in here and run a tap through here and clean this out again, and then I'm going to either thread a stud in here and then grind it off flush, sand it down, and smooth this out. I'll run a file on it and get all these rough edges off. And this is the rough stage, of course. This is just cutting it off and trying to grind it off down as close as I can right now. But anyway, I think about threading a stud in here, throw a little Loctite on it, and then grind off flush, sand it, smooth it out, and then paint it. You would never know. So I might do that, or I might just take and fill this hole up. This is just a bolt hole. Fill it up with weld, and then do the same thing. Just grind it down, sand it down, smooth it out, paint it. You'll never know. But or the third option is put a stud in it and throw a little weld on it to keep it from backing out. And by the time you paint it, you never know either. But anyway, this is definitely the rough stage here. So they used to have this alternator bracket on this side, but anyway, this is the passenger side here, and they put the alternator bracket on both sides of the exhaust, same side of the exhaust manifold. That makes sense. So they're both facing forward. I wish you could flip these manifolds around. They're not really truly reversible. I mean, they are if they don't have that alternator bracket on it, but technically they're really not, if that makes sense. But anyway, like, you couldn't flip this manifold and run it on the driver's side because this bracket would be hitting the firewall, and you couldn't flip the other side to put on the other way around, because then it'd be hitting the firewall as well. So if it makes sense. But anyway, so they are one side fits one side only, if that makes sense. But anyway, because I was trying to find one online that did not have that alternator bracket cast into it, and you just they got it. The system is rigged, so you got to buy the set in order to get what you need. But anyway, we cut it off, and we're not going to use that anymore. It's no longer needed. And you could tell this cast iron that they use today is not as good. I mean, it didn't take long to cut that off. The old cast iron like this one here, I mean, it was pretty tough. Pretty tough. But this old, I guess you would call it like kind of a trash kind of cast iron, because I mean, it don't take long to cut through that. I think it's just a different casting technique. You can just tell it's cheap, basically. But anyway, went ahead and got that cut off. I'm gonna come in here and smooth this out, sand this out a little bit. And I was very careful through here because I didn't want to take a lot of material off there, or even on this bolt boss down here. I mean, he's still got plenty of material if we look here. See, I didn't grind any of that. I just smoothed it out to get the profile right. Ooh, that looks ugly there. Looks horrible there. It's really not though. There we go. That looks better. Man, it looks like it's ground really deep there, but it's really not. It's a little bit. I think it's because of the way I ground that. But anyway, I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna smooth this up. I like to figure out some way, somehow, of replicating this cast iron texture here and putting it back in on here. But I don't know how you would do that. But I don't know. But either way, I'm going to smooth this out, sand it out, get all these grinding marks out, and I'll run a file over it and all that good stuff. And then we'll probably take some Loctite, take our stud, we'll throw the stud in here. And I'll probably just throw a little tack weld on it and smooth all that out, so that way that stud won't back out, and you won't ever know that any of that was even there. That's the whole concept of this, is to eliminate this and get rid of it. It went just like that originally. So it's more like, yeah, more like that, something like that. Not quite that long, but something about like that. But anyway, that's how it was somehow. Now I'm gonna come in here and do some work on this and get this thing painted, and you'll never really know. Unfortunately, I gotta really spend some time on the front of this here, because you will see that, unfortunately. So I'm gonna have to really smooth that out, and you know, get all that roughness out of it, because I just, you know, cut it off, and this is the rough stage of it. But this is, you know, a lot of people are doing this, I've seen, but I know a buddy of mine, he's got a 62 Impala. He did this to the exact same set of exhaust manifolds. He cut that piece off like that and did that. And, you know, I thought at first about leaving that boss there for this bolt hole and then shaping that, but I didn't want to leave that there because it just looks out of place. So, anyway, that's what we're going to do here. And hopefully we will get this wrapped up. So I figure I'll make a little short video of it. And it's not hard to do. Don't be afraid of it. I just took a regular old cut off wheel and cut it off. And, you know, just take your time with it. Cut it off. And I took a grinder, and we didn't grind into the exhaust manifold. We just ground off all the extra material we didn't need. And it's plenty thick. I mean, this is plenty thick. Because it's common sense. When you grind this down like that, you know, you're just trying to smooth it out, and you grind the high part. You don't grind the low part like into the actual exhaust manifold. You want to grind what's high, if that makes sense. But anyway, I'm going to dig out a tap and clean this hole out here. Find me a bolt, and we'll thread it in there, and then we'll cut it off flush, and hopefully by the time you paint it, that'll give it some strength too. That way, you know, it's not too thin. I don't want to thin any of that out. We just took the boss and shaved it off. But anyway, that's what we got. Anyway, see y'all later. And hey, that's old Max. Yep.